So it's actually a beautiful day outside, and instead of going out and riding, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the clutch on my 2018 Ninja 400. There's some other things I want to do today, so I'm gonna try and get through this as quickly as possible. So I ordered everything through Norton Motorsports. I got my heavy duty clutch springs. I got the cable spring, so you can get a better return, better feel for where the engagement point is. I got the 2019 400 pull rod, along with the 2019 bearing that's supposed to give you more clearance so you can use up more of your clutch. I also got the gasket cover, just in case something funky goes on with this. I'm gonna try to peel that off. And I also got all the wide and narrow friction pads and plates and things that I need to completely replace this clutch. For now, while I go ahead and take this bit off, I read somewhere that you should soak these in oil, so that's what got this big old metal bowl for. Very gently lay them in there. I'm gonna go ahead and do the plates too, just so that everybody's on the same page. It's like some kind of vacuum sealed adhesive packaging or something. But when you take it out the pack, it's like some sticky residue on there. I'm actually going to go ahead and clean these off. Go rub these down. I'm going to clean these off and rub these down before I stick them in the oil. I'm using a lint-free cloth and some basically carb cleaner. Get all this gunk off from the packaging so it's just clean bare metal before I drop it in the oil. Just get a little bit on there and just rub around. Go ahead and take your favorite oil. I just so happen to use this Valvoline 10W40. Go ahead and douse that on everything. So to get to the clutch cover, I'm gonna have to remove this bottom fairing. I think I could just bend and get away with not taking this fairing off. And then all of these guys are gonna be 8mm bolts. One of them down here somewhere is longer, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Bottom fairing gone. Got better access to the cover, but I got one down here I can go ahead and remove. That'll give me more bending ability. Alright, so I went up here and released the catch for the clutch lever. So that little pawl, or that little nub right here slips out of the indent on the actual lever. That gave me enough slack to release all that. So now I have all that slack. And with that, this portion was actually holding the cover to the rest of the clutch, so now I got a lot more room to play in there. So I should be able to wiggle it to the point that it pops off. Nope, still hold it. This portion of the clutch cable has to pop out of that, but there's a retainer that's actually molded into this. to keep that from happening, I guess for safety reasons. But this would have to be rotated all the way over here in order for me to get this off. So I'm gonna try and figure something else out. So along with the handle, releasing the clutch cable from there, I also had to loosen this, and then finally you get enough slack where you can pull this. Let's see if I can get in there. You can pull this piece all the way back to here, and with some needle nose pliers, finally get that in there. Kind of work it around, and there you go. There's our little clutch sitting in there. Look at that. Beautiful. 3 10mm bolts. I'm going to take apart, or I'll probably do 1 turn each, go around, relieve the spring pressure off of that, and then I'll be able to get to these clutch plates. Because the bike is sitting on the side stand, there's all my oil down in there, so none of that's dripping out, so I can get rid of the towel. There's your pull rod right there, and that's going to be held in with this spring retainer situation here. I can show you with the new pull rod, but where I was having issues getting the cover off was that on a normal operation, it sits about there, the cable pulls, and it goes like that. But you have to pull, you have to swing this all the way around in order to release that pull rod, because in its normal position, it's not going to let that go. And that's how it gets to pull all your clutch plates and stuff apart when you shift. It isn't until you get this to swing all the way out here that then you could take this piece out, or this piece will slide out of the clutch pack there on the pull rod, and then you can pull the cover off. Where I was having issues is that this profile right here, when it's locked in to the cable, get that back in there, it prevents the cable from popping out, which would have been easier. Through this entire bit of rotation, you can't take that cable out unless you come all the way back here and then get it to finally pop off that way, which I can't even do it now. Maybe this was a bad idea. I don't know. Alright, you gotta grab it with your needle nose pliers, bring it all the way back here, and then try to push that back out of place. And then you can swing this all the way around, and then it would release the pull rod, and then you can pull the cover off. Slide that out. Keep the bolts just as they are, even though this is a symmetrical piece. But just keep those how they are. Sit this somewhere clean. Right there. Take the old springs out. Just for comparison, looks almost the same diameter, but there's less turns. I'm guessing the spring rate's higher, but you could definitely feel there's a difference between the two, even if I swap them around. They're definitely heavy duty. Alright, so I'm going to try and pull this out exactly as it sits in the bike, so I can get like a direct replacement going. There's the first piece. You can see the ramps for the slipper clutch sitting in there. And this is that bearing I'm going to replace, so go ahead and pop that out. And we'll compare that with the other one. I'm going to set this on a clean surface. There's the new versus, well, the old is on top, the new is on bottom. You can see how the new one on the bottom is slightly thinner than the old one. So that would allow your pull rod to get some more travel. Set that over there. Go pull these clutch plates out. Doesn't look too bad, but only measuring the entire pack will be able to tell. So there's the first piece. Second piece. That looks pretty slick too. So you can see how on the old one we got all these little friction pads. And on the new ones, which this is still soaking in oil, but you can see we got these big beefy boys sitting on there. Anyway, there's that. So that looks like a narrow. Another narrow. A wide. At the wide. Come on. Another wide. These things look bone dry. I mean, the bike has been sitting here for a while, but this look extremely dry. See if that judder spring has been eaten into there. I don't feel any hardcore scoring though. And now you got your judder springs. That's got a curve to it. And that goes down on there like that. So that's what's been eaten into that one. And then you got another one, narrow one, that sits just like that. And there's another judder spring in there, which I cannot really get to, but that's okay because all this, well, this one's gonna go back in there too, but once I get that narrow put on there, then I can put this other judder spring back on, and then the rest of the pack just as I have it here. Gonna grab one of my clutch discs, my new discs that I've been marinating, and I'll go ahead and slide that bad boy back in there. Hit my judder spring just as it was when it came out. Slide that on. And let's see, what do we have? Had a narrow. And we had a wide plate. We have a wide friction. I'll fish one of those out. While we're here, the clutch basket looks good. That's something to be excited about. One more wide friction. And then our last wide plate. And now we're getting into our narrows. So now I got my narrow friction. Get your slipper clutch bit. This would be your last friction surface. You'll yank out your last narrow. Let all that oil slip off of there. I'm going to set that down on there just like that. Set the friction down on there. And then I'm going to lock this in with the basket, or the slipper clutch portion, just like that. And I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to snag out this pull rod here. Oh, that's satisfying. Get that pull rod out of there. Here's just a little comparison to the new one. It's just a slight height difference down here. Get some oil on this guy and slide that back in there. Inside of this guy here, just like that. No press fit or nothing, it just slides right in there. And now you can take this whole thing and keeping the spring locations in mind and making sure the ramps are going where they need to be. And bam. So that's the clutch pack install with the pull rod. Then I'll go ahead, set my heavy duty springs on. And get my retainer started. Doing the same thing I did last time, just twisting it down just a little bit on each one until everybody's happy and seated. And we'll start putting everything back together. Now that I got it tightened by hand, go back with a torque wrench, set to 89 inch pounds, and tighten all these 10mm bolts. Go back and double check. Excellent. One thing I noticed, there was not a clutch cover gasket when I took this cover off, which is very interesting. So I'm going to clean up these surfaces and then put the gasket on just to make sure I don't have any leaks further down the line. Oh. You'll see on the cover, or there's a dowel pin here, and on the cover itself there's a dowel pin. So just lining those up. Slide that down on there. So now I got it on that dowel pin. It's supported, which that's going to go down in there somewhere. I got the lever pulled back so it opens up that hole down in there so the pull rod can slide through. I'm going to very gently slide this cover back on with the least amount of cuss words possible. Okay. Now it's sitting on there. Gasket's in place. Pull rod's all the way, or this is still open. So if I pull it this way, I should feel some resistance of it grabbing that pull rod, which I do. Well, since this is so difficult, I might as well make it harder for myself. Go ahead and install the cable spring. Slide that guy on top. Get your boot back on there. Hopefully. Maybe a little bit of oil will help. Beautiful. Get this half of the spring on. Slide that half of the spring over. And now you got this half of the spring. Excellent. Now I have extra resistance working against me. So I can try and slide this. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a couple of bolts in the cover so it doesn't back out. And I'm lobbing that piece off. Slide all that business back. And oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Popped on there like it was nothing. Alright. Tell you what, before I adjust the other side of this cable up at the handle, I'm going to put the rest of the cover bolts back on. 80. There's 87. Lock it in. Got my 8mm on there. Go around, torque everything down. Oh wait. Get your little extension on there to make it easier. Here's gonna be a little tight, so take that off and stick that right on there. Gently bend that back. All right. So everybody's torqued down. Clutch cable is on down here. All that's good to go. So now I need to go up to the lever. And get all that put back together. Yeah. Alright. So that's back where it needs to be seated. I'll adjust this later. So the last bit, I'm going to put the fairing pieces back on, take it out for a little test ride, and that'll tell me what adjustments I need to make to the clutch. Right now, I got a decent amount of travel, and the pull is a bit harder than it used to be, but that's just because of the heavy duty springs we put in there, and then this return spring, which I noticed that if you pull the clutch and you let go, I can still come over here and push it back ever so slightly. So I don't know if the spring is completely doing its job or what the deal is with that, but I think I'm gonna have to put a spacer or something in here so the spring is always engaged, because when I pull it all the way out, then the spring's loose and it's not doing anything. So I'm gonna go out, give it a test ride, make some adjustments, but that's gonna be the end of that. Ninja 400 clutch pack upgrade, replacement, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching.